Hello, everyone. In today's video, I'm so excited to interview Dalia Barzum, CEO at Streetwise Mortgages. Now, her and her team have helped thousands of real estate investors across Canada. And in today's video, we're going to talk about a super unconventional way of boosting your cash flow in a rental property. So, if you have a rental property that you just newly acquired recently, and you're getting into a situation where it's drawing your income every single month because obviously interest rates have hiked, expenses have gone up, and you're like, you're at wit's end with your property. Well, we're going to talk about how to boost a negative cash flowing property from negative $300 to $2,400. So stick around and watch the entire video. And if you want to reach Dalia at Streetwise Mortgages, make sure you contact her in the link below at info@streetwisemortgages.com, and her and her team will be able to help you. And they service all across Canada right now. So let's get into the video. Hi, Dalia. So we have a very exciting show today because I heard you can turn like some negative cash flow into positive cash flow using this very unconventional way. So I would love to hear more about it. Sounds like a pretty exciting strategy. But as a huge caveat, I do recognize that this strategy is probably for those who've already exhausted all other efforts to boost the cash flow in their rental property. Like, this is not like something you're going to just jump into. So just a warning, guys, that this is one of the though it's unconventional, but you should look at other ways of boosting your cash flow before going to this strategy. But this is very creative. And I think, you know what, I'm just going to let you talk, Dali, because like, just, I'm just blabbing on and on. So let's go, get Dali. Tell us what it is.
So this is a strategy that we call a cash flow booster. Essentially, what we're seeing right now with some investors is that some of their properties turned into a negative cash flow as a result of the very fast increases to interest rate, especially if they're on a variable or adjustable, or if they're coming into a renewal in this higher rate environment. So like you said, Tracy, this is not the first strategy to jump on. There are other solutions I've talked about. There are 5 of them. This is a last resort option on the debt restructuring side, but it does turn a negative to a big positive. So in this example, I'm going to show how to turn a negative $310 into a positive $2,400. So let's say you have a property with a mortgage of $520,000 on it. And that mortgage is an adjustable rate mortgage, meaning that the payment changes as the rate goes up, or it's a variable rate mortgage where the payment doesn't change, but maybe you've hit what's called the trigger rate because the rates have gone up and the bank has reset your payment. So we're dealing with a higher payment in either case. So let's say the interest rate right now is at 5% and the amortization is at 30-year AM. This means that the principal and interest payment on this mortgage is $2,760 per month. Let's say this property is currently renting for $3,500 and the expenses on this property, that's taxes, insurance, and vacancies, maybe utilities, are at about 30% of that $3,500. So we're talking about $1,050 per month in expenses. If we were to run a cash flow analysis on this property, Tracy, take the rents minus the mortgage payment minus the expenses, we would be at a negative $310 every month, meaning investors have to feed this property $310 a month to carry it. So let me show you how we can turn this from a negative to a positive using a technique, a creative technique for debt restructuring. Step number 1 is to look at this property and see if there is enough equity in it that you qualify for to set up what we call an advanceable line of credit. And the key point is that the line has to be advanceable. It's really a line of credit that is secured, but it goes up as we pay down the mortgage. That is an important feature. So every time we make a payment of $2,760, about $500 in this case, okay, would increase the line of credit limit. But also with a line of credit that is advanceable, at the end, at any point in time, you can convert it back to a mortgage if you've used, the balance or a portion of the balance. So that's the key point about an advanceable line. So step number one, let's set up an advanceable line. Step number two, and that's where the technique comes through and where things turn. Okay, so watch this. We're going to take every month $2,760 from the line, which is the mortgage payment, and we're going to pay the mortgage payment. Okay, so now we've got a balance on this line of credit of $2,760 per month. The payment on it that you as an investor have to make is $14 per month at prime plus half in today's rates, $14 per month. So basically, when you make this payment, your interest payment is $14 per month, but also because we've made a principal payment on the mortgage and that line is automatic, that limit will increase by $500 a month. So we now have a bigger line, a slightly bigger line. If we run the math and take the $3,500 per rent, subtract from it the $14 per month, because that's now the new expense we're dealing with, and subtract from it the $1,050, which is the expense on the property, our cash flow, month one would be $2,436. But you're going to say, Dalia, we're using a line of credit here to pay a mortgage there, and we're accumulating debt on the way. How is this helpful? So let's assume you're going to use this for 18 months to ride this cycle that we're in, 12 to 18 months. In this example, I'm showing 18 months. So every month, we're going to do the same thing. Take the payment from the line, pay the mortgage. Take the payment from the line, pay the mortgage. And as you can imagine, the line of credit is accumulating a balance. So fast forward 18 months, here is what it would look like. You're going to have an outstanding balance on the line of about $50,000. And the limit would have increased by $8,000, because remember, the limit is increasing as you make mortgage payment, okay? Now, as we get close to that big limit of $50,000, the monthly payment on the line gets to close to $250 per month versus the $14. But again, if you go and run the math, take your rents minus the interest on the line, minus the expenses, you're still in a big positive cash flow position. So if you're looking into your account, fast forward 18 months, you're going to see a cash accumulation close to between $40,000 to $44,000. That's a big chunk of cash that is now sitting in the account. So what do I suggest you do with it? I don't suggest you spend it. I don't suggest you go buy shoes with it or buy a car with it. I suggest you keep it in the account and you use it, which is step number 3, at the end of the 18 months to clear the bulk of the line of credit balance. So you would be left with a very small balance at that point. But now you've kept the property. Now you are less stressed every month because you don't have to feed it money. And you didn't really end up with any significant amount of debt because you really reallocated things at the end of the process. So that's the idea behind the cash flow boost.
Okay, well, I have a bunch of questions now. Okay, first thing is when you said that obviously not to spend the money on buying a boat and buying a car. Let's backtrack the situation here. You're probably talking about, and I'm just suspecting, they're probably talking about someone who's looking at a rental property they just acquired not that long ago, and now they're like scared, and they're thinking, should they sell this property because it's eating them, like it's eating their cash flow. They haven't been able to boost their rent. They're just locked in new tenants. This is like the last resort. So you're saying that it's like rather than choosing to all of a sudden sell when obviously the real estate market is correcting itself, that you can use the strategy to bridge yourself for the next 18 to 24 months. Is that what you're saying, right, Dalia? It's okay. And that's because like today, or is it today? Yeah, Bank of Canada raised interest rates by 50 basis points, which is actually a great sign. Okay, that means that they're going, I suspect, potentially, I'm sure, Dalia, you'd agree that they're looking to slow down the rate increases, because before that was, 75 basis point, and then before that was 100 basis points. So there is a trend of maybe slowing or hopefully pausing sometime later next year. So then that means you're just bridging yourself until that happens, and then we'll get back to a normal where maybe inflation is not as high, right? So I see this is all leading to great positive signs, but I think like you're saying, like the person doing this needs to be first very diligent with the accumulation of savings in that account, and second, probably not mixing personal money with that HELOC, right? Because that
Yeah,
would,
absolutely. You got to
yeah,
keep it clean. You got to keep it in the rental property account. You don't want to tap into this cash to clear the debt with, but let's say for any reason things are getting tight and it's recession and all of the stuff that is scaring people off right now. You can know that you have a cash cushion. Okay. What is the worst case with this? The worst case is you have a cash cushion, and fast forward, when that line of credit gets to its maximum, because it's an advanceable line, you can convert it back to a mortgage and start making principal and interest payments, or you can make, interest payment and then at another month make principal payments. So you're not accumulating a huge amount of debt. It depends really what is your objective here. So that's what it's about. And fast forward 18 months, Tracy, you and I know rents are increasing. Rents are not sitting where they are. Rents are increasing. So that is going to help. And yes, we are reaching, it seems like we're reaching the peak of interest rate increases, and we're going to sit there for a while. But what do central banks do to re-stimulate economy? They start to remove their feet off the pedal by lowering rates. So you're really positioning yourself to come out of this cycle on a better note, whether you want to sell or whether you want to keep a cash reserve or whether you want to benefit from lower rates at the time, and instead of being forced to sell the property right now or feed it money because it's adding pressure on your pocket.
yes, for sure. I think everyone's feeling it. I mean, grocery bills increasing, we got natural gas prices increasing. So this is just, if you're feeling a lot of pressure and it's coming down to potentially selling this property, well, here's a great strategy where you could bridge that gap for the next 18 to 24 months. And so just getting back just to the tactics behind this. So someone would set up a line of credit, like with, say, your team. This could be a separate account, and then you'd make sure that if you're drawing money to pay your rental property, that it's traceable, and that you don't all of a sudden draw out even $5 to pay for a personal expense out of that line of credit, right?
And typically on that point, Tracy, typically when you set up these line of credits, the banks offer you an account, right? And you can automate a withdrawal from the line to go into the account to pay the mortgage. You can do that. You can set a monthly process so you're not going in every month and you're removing money from here, moving it there. That's tedious, but you can set it up in an automated way.
So the banks could set that up so that's automatic. It's traceable from the HELOC. So your job, like as a person who's owning this rental property, is just not mess the line of credit up with personal expenses.
Yes, you got to keep this purely to manage the cash flow for that rental property.
Well, thank you so much, Dalia. This is like I I feel like it's like lifting, it's giving people some sunlight, like they have some hope with the situation. Because I feel like probably a lot of people, some people are feeling like stressed out, and I'm sure some of your clients that you've been dealing with are feeling this, and this is probably a breath of fresh air for them.
There is pressure out there, and I feel for clients, this is why we look at solutions. And this is something that you wouldn't think of, right off the bat, but it is an option and it works.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Dalia. And I was going to say, of course, we got to know where to find your team. And there's a big announcement,
We have expanded into other provinces. So we're still servicing clients in Ontario, but we're now servicing investors and clients in BC, Alberta, New Brunswick, Saskatchewan, Nova Scotia, and Manitoba. So we're excited to, connect with more and more investors across Canada.